Good evening aspirants, welcome to Daily News Analysis brought to you by Shankar IAS Academy. Today's date is 29th February 2024. Displayed here are the list of topics we are going to see today. Now without wasting any time, let us get into the discussion. Look at this news article. Indian Fishermen Association in Ramanathapuram district of Tamil Nadu decided to boycott the annual festival at St. Anthony Church in Katchatheevu Island. See, every year a festival happens in Katchatheevu Island to which people from both Sri Lanka and India participate. But this year, Indian fishermen decided not to participate in the event as a protest of continuing arrest of Indian fishermen by Sri Lankan government. So this is the crux of the article given here. In our discussion, let us understand about the issue of Katchatheevu Island. See, Katchatheevu is a small uninhabited island located in the Pak Strait. It is between India and Sri Lanka. The only structure on the island is St. Anthony Church, and every year an annual festival happens in this church, and both Indian and Sri Lankan fishermen participate in the event. You can see the location of the island in the map displayed here. Over the years, the island's ownership shifted from various powers. In early medieval period, it was under the control of Jaffna Kingdom of Sri Lanka. Later in 17th century, the island came under the influence of Ramnad Zamindar, who is based in Ramanathapuram in Tamil Nadu. During British colonial rule, it became part of Madras Presidency. See, the issue started in 1921. In 1921, both India and Sri Lanka claimed Katchatheevu in order to determine their fishing boundaries, and the issue was not settled until 1974. A historical development related to Katchatheevu is Indo-Sri Lanka Maritime Agreement of 1974. The agreement was signed under the leadership of then Indian Prime Minister Indira Gandhi. The agreement aimed to settle the maritime boundary dispute between India and Sri Lanka. As a part of agreement, Katchatheevu was ceded to Sri Lanka. The rationale behind this move is that India believed that island held little strategic value and giving up the island would strengthen the ties between India and Sri Lanka. While Katchatheevu was handed to Sri Lanka, Indian fishermen was granted continuous access to the island. However, the exact terms and extent of fishing rights was not clearly mentioned in the agreement. So this led to later disputes between India and Sri Lanka regarding the fishing activities. So between 1983 and 2009, Katchatheevu dispute took a backseat due to Sri Lankan civil war. However, after the end of civil war in 2009, Sri Lanka increased its maritime defences. It also started taking stronger measures against Indian fishermen entering its waters. While this was happening on one side, the marine resources on Indian side started to decline. So this decline in marine resources forced the Indian fishermen to venture into the Sri Lankan waters. So this resulted in frequent flare-ups between Indian fishermen and Sri Lankan Navy. So this is the brief history of Katchatheevu issue. With this, let us conclude the discussion and move to the next news article. Look at this article. Yesterday, a joint operation between National Crime Bureau, Navy and Gujarat Anti-Terrorism Squad was held in Indian coast. This joint operation led to the capture of about 3,300 kilograms of drugs. So in this context, let us quickly go through the basics of NCB, that is National Crime Bureau. As you all know, India is signatory to Single Convention on Narcotic Drugs 1961, the Convention on Psychotropic Substances 1971, and United Nations Conventions against Illicit Traffic in Narcotic Drugs and Psychotropic Substances 1988. So India is signatory to all these conventions. Apart from this, Article 47 of Indian Constitution directs the state to work towards prohibiting the use of intoxicating substances. So all these commitments led to the legislation of three central acts. They are Drugs and Cosmetics Act 1940, Narcotic Drugs and Psychotropic Substances Act 1985, the Prevention of Illicit Traffic in Narcotic Drugs and Psychotropic Substances Act 1988. So these are the three acts which are devised by central government. Now coming to the NCB. NCB was constituted in 1986 under Narcotic Drugs Psychotropic Substances Act 1985. So out of these three acts, this act is regarding to NCB. So NCB is like a central authority that exercises the power and functions of central government under this act. So NCB is subject to supervision and control of central government. The only vision of NCB is to combat illicit trafficking and achieve a drug-free society. Now let us see the functions of NCB. Firstly, it coordinates with the various offices, state governments and other authorities under any act in connection with enforcement provisions of NDPS Act 1985. So basically, NCB collect data, intelligence, analyze them, understand the mode of operation and closely coordinate with state police, CBI and other law enforcement agencies. Secondly, it carries out or implements India's commitment to countermeasures against illicit traffic under numerous international conventions and protocols. So in simple words, NCB is also the Drug Law Enforcement and Intelligence Agency of India. Thirdly, it provides assistance to concerned authorities in foreign countries and concerned international organizations to facilitate coordination for prevention and suppression of drug trafficking. Finally, it coordinates actions taken by other concerned ministries, departments and organizations in matters related to drug abuse. This is because controlling drug abuse is also the responsibility of central government and not the state government. So in conclusion, NCB is an apex coordinating agency responsible for fighting drug trafficking and also the abuse of illegal substances. Note that it functions under Ministry of Home Affairs. Another important thing to note that NCB is out of Right to Information Act under Section 24 of RTA Act 2005. So this is all regarding the discussion. Now let us move to the next topic. Now look at this opinion page article. The article addresses the critical issue of rare diseases in India. This is highlighted by a tragic death of 19-year-old child actress from a rare disease called dermatomyositis. The timing of her death coincides with Rare Disease Day, which is observed on last day of February each year. So the article discusses about various challenges regarding rare diseases in India, and it also talks about the measures that should be taken to address these rare diseases. So in our news discussion, we are going to see about what are rare diseases and what are the challenges regarding the rare diseases and what are the measures that should be taken to handle these diseases. See, rare diseases are those diseases which affect very small percentage of population. There are more than 7,000 rare diseases in the world and only about 5% of them are treatable. Nearly 450 rare diseases are present in India, which affects 70 to 100 million Indians, and most of the victims are children. India has 1/3 of the rare disease occurrence in the world. Now, what are the challenges in handling rare diseases? See, the news article highlights several challenges in addressing the diseases like low awareness, insufficient diagnosis, inadequate drug development, etc. The national policy for rare disease, which was formulated in 2017, was withdrawn due to lack of implementation, and after that a revised policy was devised in 2021. Even though there is a policy for rare diseases, the significant problems regarding the diseases still remain. Now, what are the measures that should be taken to address these diseases? See, the government has waived GST and customs duty on imported medicines for personal use, but the challenges remain regarding the affordability and availability of these drugs. Firstly, government should create a standard definition of rare diseases. There should be increase in budgetary allocations and dedicated funding for drug development and therapy. The state government should initiate social assistance programs. Also, leveraging the public and private partnership, including corporate social responsibility initiatives, can help address the funding shortfalls, because the major problem with handling the rare disease is there is very few funds allocated for them. So there is lack of research and development of medicines for rare diseases. Incentivizing domestic drug manufacturing companies and reducing the clinical trial requirements will also help to provide more drugs for the rare diseases. Now, these are the important points about rare diseases. Now let us look at the disease which is mentioned in the news article. The disease name is dermatomyositis. See, this dermatomyositis is a rare autoimmune condition where body's immune system mistakenly attacks its own tissues, so thereby it affects the muscles and the skin. Now, what are the symptoms of the disease? Major symptoms are muscle swelling, distinctive red or purple skin rashes, weakness and fatigue. It primarily targets children between 5 to 15 years, and it also targets adults between 40 to 60 years. Note that there is a high prevalence of this disease in women. Now, what are the diagnosis and the treatment for the disease? Using blood test, MRI scan, biopsies, this disease can be diagnosed. And note that there is no complete cure for this disease. So this is about dermatomyositis, which is mentioned in the news. So this is also a rare disease. So in this discussion, we have seen the general points about rare disease and also about dermatomyositis. So with this, let us conclude the discussion and move to the next topic. Look at this news article. The recent outcome of Rajya Sabha elections has brought BJP-led National Democratic Alliance very close to the majority mark in Rajya Sabha. So NDA has 117 seats out of 240. So they have become close to majority in Rajya Sabha, and this presents significant implication for domestic policies. So in this context, let us learn the aspects in which both Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha have equal powers. Firstly, with the introduction and passage of ordinary bills, both have equal powers. When it comes to money bill, the Lok Sabha has the power to introduce the money bill. The final power to decide whether a particular bill is money bill or not is vested in the Speaker of Lok Sabha. The Rajya Sabha cannot amend or reject a money bill. Also note that the Lok Sabha can either accept or reject all or any of the recommendations of Rajya Sabha in case of money bill. Additionally, a finance bill not containing the sole matters of Article 110 can be introduced only in Lok Sabha. Rajya Sabha can only discuss the budget but cannot vote on demand for grants. So in terms of financial matters, Lok Sabha has more powers than Rajya Sabha. Only the Speaker of Lok Sabha can preside over the joint sitting of both houses. In case of joint sitting, the Lok Sabha with the greater number wins the battle, except when the combined strength of ruling party in both the houses is less than opposition parties. Apart from this, a resolution for discontinuance of national emergency can only be passed in Lok Sabha and not in Rajya Sabha. And the Rajya Sabha cannot remove the Council of Ministers by passing a no confidence motion. Secondly, in the matters of introduction and passage of constitutional amendment bills, both Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha have equal powers. Thirdly, they have equal power in the introduction and passage of finance bill involving expenditure from Consolidated Fund of India. And when it comes to election and impeachment of president, the election and removal of vice president, both the houses have equal powers. Both the bodies have equal powers in making a recommendation to president for the removal of Chief Justice and judges of Supreme Court and High Court. Apart from this, matters like approval of ordinances issued by the President, approval of proclamation of all three types of emergencies by President, and the selection of ministers including Prime Minister, both the houses have equal power. So in these matters, both Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha have equal powers. With regarding to the reports of constitutional bodies like Finance Commission, UPSC, CAG, and the enlargement of jurisdiction of Supreme Court and UPSC, both the houses have equal powers. So in these matters also, both Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha have equal powers. From this, it is clear that unequal powers between the two houses act as a checks and balance mechanism. While the Lok Sabha is directly elected by people, it holds significant power. And the Rajya Sabha acts as a revising chamber, ensuring that legislation passed by Lok Sabha is scrutinized thoroughly. Some of the matters in which Rajya Sabha has special powers are given here. You can pause the video and go through it. So with this, let us conclude the discussion and move to the next news article. Look at this article. It talks about fiscal federalism in India. You would have seen in the news that various state governments like Kerala and Karnataka are agitating for proper devolution of funds. See, in this context, the newly constituted 16th Finance Commission would have to walk the middle path in a judicious and innovative manner to address the complaints of vertical and horizontal inequalities in devolution of funds. So this is the crux of the article. We shall see the important points and arguments made in this article using our mains answer writing approach. Look at the syllabus. It comes under GS paper 2 under the topic Issues and Challenges Pertaining to Federal Structure. Now look at the mains question. The 16th Financial Commission has an obligation to correct historical wrongs in vertical devolution through compensation to the states. In the light of above statement, analyze the challenges before 16th Finance Commission. So this is a straightforward question and asks us to analyze the challenges of 16th Finance Commission. Now let us start with the introduction. Since the question is about Finance Commission, we will start giving a brief intro about it. Article 280 of Indian Constitution provides for a Finance Commission in India. It is an important vehicle of fiscal federalism, determining the sharing of finance between centre and states. Know that it will determine the sharing of tax revenue between centre and states, that is, vertical distribution of funds, and it also deals with the sharing of funds among the states, which is called horizontal devolution of funds. Since the government has recently formed a 16th Finance Commission, various southern states are expressing their concerns regarding fiscal distribution. So in this way, you can give your introduction. Now let us see the main body of the answer. Here you can write about various challenges before 16th Finance Commission. Firstly, with respect to shrinking of divisive pool of income. See, the net proceeds of income is a base from which a share would have to be vertically devolved to all states. and know that they are assigned by each finance commission for a 5-year period. The issue is that they are on decreasing trend. This is because of increasing amount of cess and surcharges. Note that cess and surcharge under Article 270 and Article 271 were kept out of net proceeds. So this means central government don't have to share these income with the state governments. Look at this data to understand this better. The collection of cess and surcharge were about 70,000 crore in 2009 to 2010. But in 2023 to 24, the amount of cess and surcharge collected is 5.1 lakh crore. When you look at their share in gross tax revenue, the cess and surcharge fell from 9.5% in 2015 to 20.2% in 2020-21. So this shows the dominance of cess and surcharges, which is depriving the states of its resources. So the central government is not sharing the revenue from cess and surcharge with the state government. So this is one important issue which should be addressed by 16th Finance Commission. Now the next important challenge is horizontal devolution formula. See, as we have seen earlier, horizontal devolution means the sharing of funds between the states. Already the highest weightage is given to income distance in giving the grants. Know that income distance means distance of states per capita income from a benchmark state. So it is usually average per capita income of top 3 states. Though it is giving resources to poor states, many southern states have argued against such weightage to income distance. Moreover, many states have apprehension regarding the parameters like census, which should also be addressed in the Finance Commission. Thirdly, the issue of tied transfer of grants by the center. See, many resources are used to finance centrally sponsored schemes and central sector schemes. But the problem is such transfers are not untied as in case of devolution. Moreover, many states are losing their priorities in a scheme and forced to follow center's advice due to their demand of funds. Then fourth important challenge is unsustainability in debt levels. Now look at this fact. The debt to GDP ratio combined for central and state governments peaked at 90% in 2021. Out of this, center accounts for 58.7% and state accounts for 31%. As we all know that FRBM Act mandates debt to GDP ratio of 40% for central government and 20% for state governments. In the rise of electoral populism, freebies and subsidies, the role of Finance Commission in navigating this issue would be important for sustainable fiscal federalism. So these are the important challenges before 16th Finance Commission. Now we have completed the body part of the answer. In the conclusion part, we are going to give a way forward approach in order to fight these challenges. Firstly, there should be consultation with the states, unlike the current practice. The membership and terms of reference of Finance Commission could be fixed in a consultative manner between center and states. So this will foster a sense of cooperation between center and states. Secondly, with respect to managing cess and surcharge. See, the Finance Commission should recommend upper limit on the amount of cess and surcharge the center could levy. This will increase the amount of income available for devolution to the states. Moreover, steps should be taken to ensure that if center breaches this limit, then the excess pool of income should go to the states. Thirdly, the steps should be taken to increase the capacity building of Finance Commission. Note that the focus should be on data collection and processing. With the increasing use of blockchain in finance, it can be an effective solution to increase the transparency in devolution. And lastly, the restructuring of centrally sponsored schemes should be done. It should be done in such a way that there is enough scope and space for the states to prioritize their local demands. So this is all about the way forward points. With this, we conclude the discussion and move to the next topic. So in this discussion, we are going to see an exclusively prelims topic. We are going to learn about the important rivers of African continent. See, the important rivers of Africa are Nile River, Congo River, Niger River, Zambezi River, Orange River, Kasai River, Limpopo River, Okavango River. So these are the important rivers of African continent. We shall learn about the important facts about these rivers. See, firstly, let us take up the Nile River. Nile is not only the longest river in Africa, it is the largest river in the world. It flows from south to north, starting from Lake Victoria and emptying into Mediterranean Sea. So in its course, it crosses 11 African countries. One of the world's largest dam, the Aswan Dam, is located on this river. So look at the source of the Nile River. It is Lake Victoria. This Lake Victoria is covered over 3 countries, Uganda, Tanzania and Kenya. So from this Lake Victoria only the Nile River origins. See, there are 2 main tributaries of Nile River, White Nile and Blue Nile. See, this longest Nile tributary is the White Nile and the shortest tributary is the Blue Nile. But note that the Blue Nile carries more water for Nile River than the White Nile. Despite being the longest tributary, the White Nile carries lesser water than Blue Nile. So the Blue Nile origins from Ethiopia, that is from eastern side of African continent. See, there was an important multinational issue in sharing the Blue Nile water. Recently, the Ethiopian government is constructing a huge dam in Blue Nile and the Sudan and South Sudan countries are opposing it. So this is about Nile. Now look at the Congo River. It is the second largest river in Africa and it is the deepest river on the planet. It origins in Katanga Plateau in Democratic Republic of Congo. It also flows through 9 countries in Western Central Africa and it drains into Atlantic Ocean. This Congo River basin has the second largest tropical rainforest after Amazon. Then the Zambezi River. It is the longest eastward flowing river in Africa. So most of the rivers in Africa flows westwards, that is they flow into Atlantic Ocean. But few rivers flow eastwards, that is they flow into Indian Ocean. So Zambezi is one of the eastward flowing river. It flows between Zimbabwe and Zambia and then through Mozambique and finally discharge into Indian Ocean. Then there is Orange River. See, this Orange River delta has diamonds, that is alluvial diamonds. And the Orange River is famous for alluvial diamonds, which is called Eureka diamond. This Orange River flows from east to west and drains into Atlantic Ocean. And then there is a river called Okavango River. An important feature of Okavango River is it does not drain into oceans or lakes. It drains into empty land, that is, it drains into Kalahari Desert and it forms one of the largest inland delta in the world. See, the Okavango Delta is present in Botswana country and it flows through Kalahari Desert. So these are the important facts about African rivers. Now we have come to the prelims practice question discussion. Look at the first question. Elephant pass, sometimes seen in the news, is mentioned in the context of which of the following? The correct answer is option D, Sri Lanka. See, the elephant pass is located in Jaffna Peninsula in the north of Sri Lanka. It is often mentioned in the news with related to Sri Lankan Civil War. It is an important site of Sri Lankan Civil War. Now look at the second question. Consider the following statements with reference to Narcotics Control Bureau. It is a nodal drug law enforcement and intelligence agency of India responsible for fighting drug trafficking. It is a statutory body. It is under the administrative control of Ministry of Home Affairs. Now all the 3 statements mentioned here are correct. So the answer is option C, all 3. Now look at the third question. Select the co-equal powers of Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha from the following. The correct answer is option B, initiating an ordinary bill. Now look at the fourth question. Which of the following African river crosses the equator twice during its course? It is the Congo River. The Congo River crosses the equator twice during its course. Now this is the mains question for you today. Interested aspirants can write the answer and post it in the comment section. With this, let us conclude the discussion. If you like the video, please share it with your friends and don't forget to subscribe to Shankar IAS Academy YouTube channel. Thank you.